earning your convictions. And if you don't do that, there's no lech lecha. There's no going from there. There's no going forward from there. In other words, you had to be able to stay different from Noach. Noach couldn't convince anybody. Avraham convinced anybody that he talked to in a long time. Because why? Because he knew it. Noach just kind of got it, received it, and was following along. No, Avraham Avinu had the whole world around him in a different idolatry. Like that one? That was idolatry and ideology.
Oh, yeah.
That just came out, was it? So yeah, he had the whole world, and he had to go find his truth. Not only had to find his truth, he had to be so convinced and so completely through and through convinced that no wonder the fire couldn't hurt him. Whereas his brother, it wasn't the same. He was kind of following after Abraham, and so the fire could actually reach into his pores. Okay, so none of us can skip that stage of our life in order to go to the next stage, which was seemingly a lot of things very similar to the next parsha of Vayera. He goes, there's a famine, he has to go to Paro, they take Sarah, right? He comes out with riches, he has to save Lot, he has to go out of this extreme way to save Lot, right? And he has to face up the whole world again. And in Vayera, also, in Lech Lecha, Hashem appears to him. Lech Lecha, Hashem, V'yomer Hashem Lech Lecha. Vayera, right? A God appears to him. And then what happens? Right? Right after that, he has to go, again, try to save Lot. Only this time it's not explicitly Lot. And then he has to go for a whole story with the famine. Only this time, Avimelech, king of Gerar, which is Gaza, right there, that's Gaza. Okay? He doesn't tell you, get out of my land. He says, oh, my land is before you. Only one problem. Guess what happens? He digs wells and they fill them up. Why would you fill them up? Why would you deny something that gives you your own sustenance? That is so stupid. And one of those wells that they dug was buried. Oh, right? Yeah.
What was Be'eri? Kibbutz Be'eri.
Where Kibbutz Be'eri is named Be'eri because of the well that Avraham Avinu dug.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Be'eri?
Yeah. Right. And so that's what's happening in last week's parsha. Okay, nevertheless, he doesn't say to him, leave. He gives him wealth, and at the end of the parsha, he says, Ish Elokim. Okay? Now, few differences. Right? One was after all of the avodah that Avraham did in and of himself, Hashem said to him, now's the time to really step out of your comfort zone. As if he did it for 75 years. Oh, what's the difference now? Now it's a command from Hashem. Now succumbing, not just what you decide is right and wrong, now succumbing your will to God's will. And those are stages of meeting the opposite of what you think was good and then succumbing again, and meeting the opposite and then succumbing again, and meeting the opposite and succumbing again. And those are called tests. Those are called tests of making a connection to Hashem that's beyond my personal logic. And then, after all of that, right, it's still in a way that Avraham is lech lecha. It's still him having to succumb from below. After all of that, when he's 99 years old and he still sees that there's what to work on and what to go with, he can fulfill the last commandment that Hashem gives us, even though all of his advisors, anyone who says, no, you're going to ruin everything that you did till now, because no one is going to want to serve your one God after you make a bismillah. You're going to ruin your whole life work. And he succumbed again against all odds, right? Now he deserves, after all of that work, 2 parshas. One is mamash on his own, and one is with God's telling him how to keep going on his own. Now's the 3rd parsha, V'yahalav Hashem. Now Hashem comes down to him. Only after Bris Milah, only after there's something in his flesh that actually proves that absolute commitment. Okay? And that's why he can't just go save Lot. He can only pray for Lot as being in a place wherein there's at least 10 people. Because now we're not doing this on our own anymore. Now, from Vayera on, it's a people. Why do we know? Because already in Parshas Vayelech Lecha, Hashem already promises Abraham that you're going to have your seed with Sarah, Yitzchak. Now you're starting the whole future of the Jewish people. And so now Lot can only be part of that future if he's able to make a community, make a family. If there's going to be something there that can be part of, okay? It's not about individuals anymore. So far, so good? Okay. And that's why, in the end, Avimelech realizes, Ish Elokim Zeh. He doesn't say he's a great man, he's a rich man, he's an important man, he's a smart man. He says, Ish Elokim, he's a godly man, because 1 second, how can it be? Like everybody, after Abraham had to use his might and capture Lot from all of the most strongest people in the world, so now they called him Melech. But they didn't call him Ish Elokim. Ish Elokim is when all the time now it's obvious that it's not from Avraham. It's obvious that all of this success, all the things happening is obviously just from Hashem. Oh, what happens in last week's parsha? So the parshas in the Lech Lecha, Ishmael is born, right? Parshas Ve'era, he's thrown out. What happens in our parsha? Yishmael is thrown out. Right? What happens in our parsha?
We're getting behind.
This week, Yishmael does tshuva.
And he came down from the Milas funeral.
And he put Yitzhak first.
Yeah.
In the end of the parsha, when Avraham passes away, it says, "Ve'avo Yitzchak v'Yishmael." And Yishmael places Yitzhak before him. Rashi says Yishmael did tshuva.
That's why Rabbi Friedman says, Rabbi Marcus Friedman always says that, and even years ago, he was here and say, I didn't understand 4 years ago, that we're not going to just go to temple. They have to do tshuva.
Okay, so those 2 parts of the stages of Yishmael's life are very important. First of all, his mother, did she have choice or not? Was it free choice?
Sorry, whose mother?
Yishmael's mother, Hagar. Was it free choice? To go with Avraham. She was Paro's daughter. Okay? And as Paro's daughter in Paro's house, she just went, wow, this is holy lady. Like, whoa, what side should I choose? Wasn't that obvious? Which one would you choose? Come on. She's surrounded by miracles, and my father, is getting plagues. Was that free choice?
You say Hagar was surrounded by miracles?
I know Sarah was surrounded by miracles, and Hagar's father Pharaoh was surrounded by plagues. So yeah, is that free choice? Like, where would you go in that choice? With the winner or the loser? And then she gets pregnant right away, right? And she says, look at me, and look at you. Then what happens? Then she gets sent away, right? Does she have free choice now?
No. Oh, she could have said she was sorry.
You guys are not so sure? Does she have free choice now?
Oh, she had the choice to comfort her child.
And now Hashem says, go back, humble yourself in front of Sarah, and you will have a son in that situation. And not only that, you will call him hearkening to God. Okay? Step fast forward. Avraham tells all of the members of his family, God says for me to make a circumcision, and all of you too. And what does Ishmael do?
He did. No, he did.
Now here's the question. Did he agree? Did he choose it? Was it free choice?
No.
And this is what the Torah says. He didn't disagree. That's all that he did. He didn't disagree. He didn't really say, oh, this is what I believe in. This is for sure the divinely orchestrated thing that I was waiting for 13 years.
Did anybody?
What?
Really, did all the men embrace it?
Exactly. Everybody said, don't do it, Abraham. Don't do it. Everybody from now on is not going to just love your God. They're going to hate your God. They're going to say, what kind of God is that? Okay, and this is what Ishmael is listening to. So did he agree?
He didn't disagree.
He didn't disagree. And that's all that you can say about his bris. And that's why he's called not Adam Pere, but Pere Adam. Because his bris was not Adam. It was not Adam Pere, Adam that was a little bit wild. His bris was first wild and then Adam. Because it didn't change his nature because he didn't agree. He just didn't disagree. Now skip fast forward, right? And here's the party. And Ishmael is saying to Yitzchak, I'm better than you are. Because I chose to make a bris milah when I was 13. And you just were chosen. Okay? So what does Yitzchak say? You guys know this Medrash? You know this Medrash?
Oh. I feel we're willing to die for
He said, you just had you chose to join with Hashem with a little teeny part of your body. I would join Hashem with my entire being. Right?
like 2 or 3, the weenie part is that person.
Right. And he's mature at that age enough to say that. Right? And now what happens? Who are the Shtei Na'arav that go with Abraham for the Akedah? Skip fast forward, he's 37 now, right? Who are those two? Why is Ishmael going?
So that the Arab can change the narrative.
He's going because, okay, Yishmael.
He wants to see if he's really gonna be wrong. But where was he going?
And know what? You know what? If Avraham kills Yitzhak, so then it's all got me. And if he doesn't kill Yitzhak, it's because he's so afraid. It's because he really wasn't really giving life. Got it?
So he's like just there to be second in line.
He's there to be first in line.
No, right. First in line, but
Either way, first in line. Either way, Yitzhak is going to be out of the picture here. Either way. Only there was one more thing you didn't know. And that was that he had full consent, right? After Avraham makes it clear to Yitzhak that he's going to be the one to be sacrificed, they went as easily together as they did the verse before when he didn't know, right? And now here's this moment of truth. And that's it. Now, how does the Yerusha pass only over to Yitzhak? Was it because of that moment?
because he was going to give over his whole self.
But was it just because of that?
No, Hashem said that before.
And so what was that called?
What was what called?
Him mamash ready, 100%. It says he leans his neck back.
Giving up to Hashem, whatever it's supposed to be. I don't know. Is that not in the role?
Was that called free choice?
Yeah. I think it's just giving yourself over, just being.
So was there any doubt again whether Yitzhak took it on himself? Yishmael said, I took it on myself. Right? Was there any doubt now that Yitzhak was given the blessing from above, but at that case he took it on himself about 150% full? Okay?
Yeah.
And that's why there's a question when Yishmael did you. It's just like there's many opinions. One is like the point where in Avraham Avinu mamash clearly, completely was convinced through and through. It was age 3, was age 6, was age 40, 48, right? Okastim, he was 48. The Rambam says 40, even before Okastim. Right? In this case, what's the question with Ishmael?
Stop looking at me. Choose someone else.
So here's the math, ready? Yitzhak was 37, Ishmael was 14 when he was born. So he's 51. That's one opinion. Guess what the other opinion was? At the end of the parsha, it says he was 100 years, 30 years, and 7 years. That opinion says 30. Yes. What happened? How old was Ishmael when Sarah sent him away? With all of her gvura, and said, he is out. We finished with him. It's not going to be half-half. It's not going to be 30-60. Oops, 30-70. It's not going to be 10-90. Nothing. You know why she said nothing? Because if you give Ishmael 10, he's going to say, he got 10, he got 90, I'm going to get some of these. What if you give Ishmael 90 and he's got 10? He's going to say, well, he got left with 10, I'm going to get that also. So Sarah said the only way to teach him a lesson, okay, she was a tzadikah. There was no tzadikah bigger than Sarah. Why couldn't she teach him right from wrong? Why couldn't you teach him? You don't do mitzachek. You don't do this. You don't do this misachek business. You don't pretend that you're shooting arrows and it's coming closer to my son. You don't pretend like there's something good about these idols there. You don't pretend that there's something good about touching sexually. You don't pretend these things, right? Why couldn't she teach him right from wrong? What's the answer? That's how she taught him. How do we know? That's how she taught him. She taught him brutally, with no water, out, completely. Gosh, that is so cruel. Would any person do such a thing? Send someone on, right? Would it, Sarah Avinu? Guess what happens? He prays to Hashem, and Hashem answers him and promises him he will become very multiplicitous. Asher hu sham. Because at that moment, Ishmael did tshuva. But his tshuva wasn't so strong. His tshuva wasn't so strong at age 17, 18. His tshuva still wasn't so strong. And so, guess what? Abraham went to find him, kept teaching him Torah, kept trying to strengthen him, kept in touch. Right? You think Sarah knew about it or not? Of course she knew. Really? Of course she knew.
Where was that? He went back to the
No.
and that goes to himself, Sarah.
No. That was before. That was before she had a miscarriage and she went back and she had Ishmael.
Where does it say this?
What? Say that Abraham kept in touch with him? Yeah. So Abraham was all the time keeping in touch with him. Think Sarah knew or didn't know?
She knew.
How did Ishmael finally do tshuva? He did. He did. He put Yitzhak in front of himself by Avram's burial.
Yeah.
That was age 84. Okay? So from 17 to the Kedah at 51, his tshuva was, yeah. At the Kedah, he was still expecting to be number one, right? At the Kedah, all of a sudden it's like huge. From 51 till 94, it took him to really do tshuva.
How do you know it's 94?
That's when he passed. That's how old he was when Avram passed away. He put Yitzhak first. Okay, so that's what's going on in our parsha. That's what's happening now. Yishmael is doing tshuva. All of the seed of Yishmael is lining itself up, right, to putting Yitzhak first. And you know what? Sometimes Hashem has to make very clear, open miracles for that to happen. Okay, so ready? You ready? Yeah. Hashem should make clear, open miracles, and all the world should see. The He is protecting every single Jew of Eretz Yisrael in the most unbelievable, miraculous way. If it's of Kedusha, of Chesed, of Emes, of Torah, of Eretz Yisrael. It's the base of Mikdash and Mashiach right now.
Isn't there a Medrash that after Sarah's death, Isaac goes and lives with Ishmael and Hagar? And so maybe it's even Ishmael, it's like himself, who does helps him do tshuva.
I don't think Yitzhak is around then so much. He was already married 3 years later. I don't know, like it says Abraham took back Torah, right, Torah, and I don't know, it's not clear whether Yishmael was with them, Yitzhak was not clear, I don't know.
So what made Ishmael do?
All that years of Abraham staying in touch, he didn't say, I don't know if he lived with him, but he didn't stay in touch with him and teach him.
Is it just that?
I'm gonna allow myself to give a little.
Rashi says that Ishmael dwelled in the desert.
Yeah, he was always dwelling in the.
That's where he wasn't with Avraham. That's where he was. Anyways, excuse me.
Tuvia, Nachman, Ben, Chaya Bracha Leiter. So this guy who's the son of the Hamas, it's really quite outspoken.
Yeah, the son of Hamas.
He said two things changed his whole way of looking at things. One was getting to know Jewish people. Getting to know Jewish people, that how could it be that they don't hate me? How come they're not filled with hate? How come they're filled with trust and positivity and goodness? And what is this home that children are treated with such respect and such love and such nourishment, right? That was one of the things that, yes, of course.
He said that?
Yeah.
What was the second thing?
The second thing was that he eventually understood that this whole issue. Wait, we're gonna get there. Don't let me finish. What was the second thing?
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'll try to remember.
Okay, so now I want to go how this parsha, we said, okay, so it was Noach, which was Avraham, grassroots up, and then it was Lech Lecha, which was grassroots with help from Hashem. Then it was Vayera, it's like everything is now coming down, completely joined from Hashem, from above. And now it's Chai Sarah. Okay? Chai Sarah is, that's why we said this parsha, Chai Sarah is all about the future. It's what Sarah Imenu made sure when it happened from then to the very end. Number one, Kinyan Eretz Yisrael. Kinyan Eretz Yisrael. Not just a word of mouth agreement. Kinyan, actually acquiring Eretz Yisrael. Number two.
When you say number one that she made sure happened, that happened in her lifetime, that.
Yeah. Chaya Sarah, as part of Sarah's life, Chaya Sarah, Sarah's life, her life means that everything in her life is going to continue till Mashiach. First thing that happens in the Parsha is Avraham actually acquiring financial ownership of the land of Israel. Okay? The second thing that happens is this unbelievable shidduch. Okay? Now, there's so many parts of this unbelievable shidduch, and you might not pay attention to one of the most unbelievable things, and that is the shidduch between Yitzhak and Rivka. So this most unbelievable shidduch starts out with Abraham giving Yitzhak kol. V'tein Eliezer kol asher lo, everything that he owned. Okay? He wrote a contract, and then he has a halachic dilemma. What date should he sign it on? Because if he signs it on the day that Eliezer leaves, then it has a big problem. Because by the time he ever gets there, with a 3-week journey, and ever finds the right girl, and ever gives the contract, so the contract could be It's a post-dated check, no, excuse me, it's check, it's outdated already. It's outdated already, it's not good. And also there's another halachic issue that I can't remember about writing a date that's not relevant right now. Maybe I'll remember. Okay, so the other problem is to write a post-dated check, which means that right now, when the person is signing the check, it's not really signed. So that means that all of his wealth is neither here or there. Okay? So he transfers his entire wealth to the daughter-in-law, right? And he signs it on that day. Because that's the best way to get over all the halachic dilemmas. Okay? Guess what happens?
He's giving everything
Everything to Yitzhak, and it's going to go, she's going to see the contract. That she's going to be part of, she's going to get now, by marrying Yitzhak, she's going to get all of Abraham's vast wealth.
When you say that date, you mean the day that he wrote it?
The date that he wrote it, Eliezer left, that was the date he signed it. Okay? Guess what happened? Who knows the story? Right. Which means that Eliezer arrived the very same day. It's pretty shocking to him. Right? That was the first shock. The second shock was, he says to himself, how am I going to ever find this girl? Okay? So he's picturing in his mind everything that he knows about Avraham from being his servant all of these years. And he says, okay, the thing that most represents him is kindness. He's able to be kind to everyone. He just right away is able to believe in all kinds of wandering cuckoos, right? He's able to believe that they're humane enough to take into his tent and trust them and feed them, right? And if they argue with him and this and that, he ends up being able to also convince him. But the first thing that he sees is part of Avraham is his kindness. So he davens for a girl who's incredibly kind, and it says, Terem kala ledaber v'hine Rivka ba. He didn't even finish speaking, and here Rivka comes. And what did it say about Eliezer? The Teharash, who was completely quiet. He's like, just experienced one miracle, and right then another miracle. I'm like still in Avraham Avinu's house. What happened? You know, like, and the Medrash says that only after that was the marriage able to take place. Only after Eliezer was 150% sure that it wasn't about him at all. Had nothing to do with it. It's totally from Hashem. So it's like people say, how did you make shidduchim for your children? I say that when I was trying to find a shidduch for my oldest daughter, I asked my son's mother-in-law, who was marrying off her 8th child, I said, how do you do it? She said, you're starting late. I'm like, oh, really? What did she say? She's starting late. I said, I've not been working on it for 3 years, right? She says, no, when my children are born, I put a kupat tzedakah aside, and I give tzedakah every day that Hashem should bring the right shidduch. It has nothing to do with our efforts. It's just, until Eliezer was sure about that, the rest of the shidduch couldn't take place. Why? Because he got it wrong. He thought the main thing was kindness. He thought the main thing was kindness. He got it wrong. What's the main thing? Emunah. Complete. So much filled with emunah, bitachon, that you're humbled from it. You can't say a word from it. You're flabbergasted from it. You're like, right? It's that quiet, still voice. When he got there, the whole future of the Jewish people is first based on emunah. It's only in emunah that these Jewish people are going to stay alive. It's only in emunah that they're going to be able to build families. It's only from emunah that there's going to be a future here. Kindness is a proof of emunah. A proof of emunah. Emunah is your connection from you to the essence of yourself, your soul. And if you're really connected, then it reflects itself in kindness in this way. And the third thing is might. Power, might, riches, world. Right? Lavan ran first for the well. Betuel said, I'm going to go for might. He's wealthy. I don't have to wait. I'm just going to kill him now. Betuel says, I'm going to kill him now. No problem. Right? They're going to think that they're going to take the rose among the thorns and everything is going to be happily ever after. No. He's wealthy. He's mighty. I'm just going to ruin the whole thing right now and take it all for myself. Guess what happened? Who was the first one? Betuel was the first one. What happened? He put poison in Abraham's food, and the angel came and switched the plates, and like my kids say, he ate and he died. And that was it. What does the Rebbe say about that? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, since he created the beginning of creation, he ensured that the Jewish people will continue to exist and live and give over Torah for generations and generations to Mashiach. And that's why the gifts that Eliezer gave Rivka, because Avraham said these are the gifts, was a ring that weighed half of a shekel, right? Teaching her that now you're entering into a covenant that you're one half, and God is the other half. And he gave her 2 bracelets, each weighing 5, whatever they were, right? Because the bracelet was for each one of the tablets, which had 5 commandments on each side, because now you are beginning to bring the whole Torah forever and ever to me. Okay? Because we have time for one more tidbit, and that is that after all of that, right? They tell the story. He like, right? And he tells the story, and they really see, well, this is so from God, right? And they agree right away that if we should go. And then he says, okay, we're leaving tomorrow. And he goes, wait, what do you mean tomorrow? She needs 10 months at least, right? And the other says, no. This morning, leaving, right? He's like, what? Okay.
Somebody becomes religious.
Because it's like, on the one hand, they just said it's all from God. On the other hand, they said, great idea. Let that through God. She for sure won't be able to breathe. She'll know that her mother and father, right? I guess not her father anymore, her brother, right? And her mother want her to stay and get ready for her this departure, that's too sudden, right? And they asked Rivka, what does Rivka say? Yeah, and you know what happens? As soon as they get to Eretz Yisrael, the Torah says that the shidduch was so urgent and so important that right at that second that she reached the land, that's when right at that second Yitzhak was coming. She didn't have to go look for him even. He was right there. As soon as her camel came close, that's where Yitzhak was right there at that moment. Hello, what is this happening here? He leaves the same day, gets there the same day, right? And then right away finds Rivka. And then the next day has to leave. And then the next second, right? They find each other right there and have to get married. And then Eliezer tells, Eliezer's like, right? And he tells Yitzhak the whole story. And Yitzhak says, let's see. That's my favorite part. He doesn't agree to marry her. After all that. No. It says, Vayavieha ha'oele Sarah imo v'kachea lishto b'yadea. First he brought her to the tent of Sarah. Then he took her as a wife and he loved her. Right? What happened?
I still don't get where was it that he said he didn't want to marry her?
Right then,
He said,
Eliezer
no,
tells him over all of the
no,
miracles.
first I want you to come to my house. What?
He tells him over all the miracles. That's when he doesn't decide to marry her then. First, he has to take her to the tent of Sarah. And then something happens there that now he's fine with it. He can read to me. It says, where was Yitzhak? Yitzhak went out the Suach Besadeh to have a conversation with God, like mamash, like face-to-face conversation. Besadeh. So the Medrash says that was the Sadeh around his mother's kever. That was his famous place to daven. So if you go to Medrash Machpelah, right, there's still that favorite place. You guys know where it is? On the side, there is an opening, supposedly mamash, right into the place where in the Avot are buried. It's in the Sadeh, it's in the field there. It's still like #1 favorite place for everybody to daven. Right? What was he davening for?
Married enough that she should be like Sarah, that she should bring back her life.
So then Rashi changes the order of the Midrash, and he changes the order of the occurrences. Right? Because the order that he writes, that Rashi writes, is what caused him to take her as a wife and love her. So really, the first thing that you would see when you're coming close to them, you should see first the cloud would reappear. Rashi puts that last. The second thing you would see is that she makes dough, and there's a blessing in the dough. Which, by this way, I've always been trying to figure out what that was. Either it was like dough that like all of a sudden made more than ever. That every once in a while happens to me, and like all of a sudden it's not, I guess somehow all that bread was enough. Right? Or she put like some mystical ingredient in it so that it was like the best, unbelievable bracha that you ever could like you can't even call it taste. You could only call it, well, this bread is a blessing in it. Which a blessing you don't see, you don't touch, you can't taste it, but there's a blessing there. There's something special about this bread, right? Okay, so that would be second. And only the third thing it would see would be that the Shabbos candles would be lit from Friday till the whole next week. That would be the last thing we see. Rashi puts that first. Rashi puts the dough second and the cloud third. Okay? For a reason. That's what caused Yitzhak to be able to marry her. There's a teaching for all of us and all of our children forever and ever. The first lesson that the Rebbe says is that Avraham Avinu was still alive. But that was the tent of Sarah that wasn't his tent. After Avraham passed away, he lit Shabbos candles in his tent. Rivka was only 3 years old. Should have gone to his tent and been Yotzi on his Shabbos candles. But no, the Rebbe says from here you learn that a 3-year-old, as long as she's mature enough, she knows what she's saying a bracha, she should already begin to light up the world. Right? And when the Rebbe came out with his campaign of little girls lighting up the world, he says it's been a custom in many, 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 many communities for all times. And those communities that it wasn't their custom, they should also take it on because the world is getting dark. And Jewish homes need to be lit up from a very young age. That a young girl should feel her connection and feel the joy and the happiness that actually she could see more light coming into the world. And the Rebbe said, it's always been, even though Avraham Avinu was around, nevertheless, it was always the mitzvah on women, because the women are the ones that have particularly not just the ability, but the capability, right, forever and ever to light up the Jewish home. Okay? The lesson that you learn is what was Yitzhak looking for. All of those miracles that flabbergasted Eliezer. He was like, oh, thunderstruck, right? Couldn't speak, couldn't move, like, and he realized, whoa, this is all about belief in Hashem and kindness. It's so unbelievable. This shit up, it's like the whole continuation of the Jewish people. And he told it over, and this day I came, this day I got it. And he says, okay, let's see. Only after that did he marry her. What was he looking for? First and foremost, he was looking to see the way she does mitzvahs. Of those 3 things, the only one's a mitzvah is lighting Shabbos candles. You don't have to make dough. If you make dough, so you have to take challah. But you don't have to. You get it from the bakery. There was always bakeries around, by the way. There was always a place that kept the fire burning. And it's a big pain in the neck to make challah. You have to have a big fire. It's not like a pizza that could have like 2 twigs. Right? So yeah, you didn't have to make dough. That was volunteer Maaseh Tov. First one is, how does this girl do mitzvahs? Second one, what kind of day-to-day activities does she do? And the third one, how does Hashem join to her? That was third. Right? First he wanted to see, does she do mitzvahs the way my mother did mitzvahs? When my mother did a mitzvah, it was through and through. It was so through and through that the physical world changed. My mother was able to bring such holiness and such gashmis into the physical world that the physical world changed and it lasted. That's how you know it changed, because usually it would be consumed. But my mother, with so much holiness in the way that she did mitzvahs, that it wasn't consumed, it just lasted and lasted and lasted and lasted. She would put it out, light it again, it would keep lasting. That's what he was looking for. You tell me all these miracles? Fine. That's last. I want to know, how does she live? Is she going to make a home the way my mother made a home? Is she going to put all of her heart and soul in the way she does mitzvahs? Is she also going to put all of her heart and soul in the way she does mundane tasks? Is those mundane tasks just going to be deeds? Are they going to be mas and tovim? Is she going to be so particular about her words, about the way she takes this and that? Not just checking for worms and bugs and this and that, but is it going to be in a way that there's like noticeable blessing in her day-to-day activities, the way she dresses, the way she does things? Is it going to be a home that's like, oh, there's a bracha here. There's a bracha in the grocery shopping, there's a bracha in the dishes, there's a bracha in the serving, there's a bracha in the food, there's a bracha in the salad. That's what he's looking for. And only the third thing is Hashem joined with her. And when Hashem could see that Hashem is also joining with her, then this is the first time this happens. Okay? Because this relationship is the beginning of the receiving of the Torah. The beginning of the receiving the Torah means that the world now will be able to be united with infinity. Okay? Won't be world and you try to make something holy, but it's really holy and then the world stays world. It'll be joined together. You have tefillin, that the holiness lasts in the tefillin. You have mezuzah, that the holiness lasts in the mezuzah. Okay? Since they're the ones that's going to start the union, he wanted to see how is it from below to above, and how is it from above to below. So all the miracles that he heard, that was all. He wanted to know how is it from below to above. And also from above to below. Oh, then he marries her, which never happened before in history. Only after the giving of Torah was an age. Till then, man wants, he takes it to his house, till he doesn't want anymore, or she doesn't want anymore. Right? Till there's no such thing as marriage. There's no such thing as a binyan adei. There's no such thing as an everlasting edifice. There's no such thing. There was just temporary relationships. So we didn't want anymore. The one thing that changed after the giving the Torah is that first you're committed forever. Binyan adei. And only after that does love and intimacy happen. Only after that. That started first by Yitzhak and Rivka. Yikachea leisha v'yahaveh. Okay? So yeah, that shows that this Parsha Chaisara is really mamash kicking us off to the days of Mashiach, when it should be the ultimate marriage with Hashem, Jewish people, mamash, from below to above, above to below, in the most revealed way. Amen. Amen. Yeah, oh, that's what the second thing was. The second thing was, he saw he was raised with only one value, and that is power. Power. This son of Hamas was raised with only one value.
Power.
Power. Right? Might wins. Anybody who's weak, right, can be taken advantage of.
Sounds very Nazi.
Right? That's it. That's the only thing. And then, it says that as he was evolving in and of himself, you could see that people were kind. He didn't have any kindness when he was raised. He was taught to be brave and strong, and that's easy. Right? Like if he cowered, his father would beat him more. Okay, but the difference is that the Jewish people, it's not power is stronger. It's like power if you have to. Right? If you have to. It was the last result of Avraham actually. He was already 14 years old. He didn't think she tried for 14 years, 17 years, 18 years, depending on how old he was when he was weaned. Right?